That's everything, I think.
Everything besides the NFL.
We'll finish
strong with the NFL.
Indeed. Obviously, divisional round games. 4 teams go through. 4 teams bow out. Let's start with this Green Bay Packers Los Angeles Rams game.
Yeah.
I'm wearing my Packers hat. Monkey's wearing his Bucs hat.
Yep.
Green Bay heavily favoured to win this game. The Rams went with them for 3 quarters, sort of. The Pack always had the lead.
They had the lead. I think they were comfortable.
Yeah.
I think Rodgers looked unreal. Honestly,
they never looked in doubt.
No. Interesting point here. Sean McVay, Matt LaFleur. McVay, 34 years old, which is amazing because he made a Super Bowl a couple of years ago. Matt LaFleur, in only his second season, he's 41. It was the youngest postseason coaching matchup since 1970. A couple of blokes called Don Shula and John Madden went on to have reasonably successful careers. Imagine if the video game was called Shula. There's one for you there.
Madden definitely sounds way better.
Madden's got a ring to it, I guess. But Shula, an excellent coach in his own right.
Definitely.
So, combined age of 75 right there, which is 10 years younger than Tom Brady. So they were the youngest coaching matchup since 1970. Rodgers, as we mentioned, an absolute machine. He goes 23 of 36, 296, 2 touchdowns. Packers have 188 on the ground. Aaron Jones, AJ Dillon, Jamal Williams.
I'm not sure if you guys saw it. He's been doing interviews, of course, on Pat McAfee's show for all season. But his recall in when they do interviews of Pacific players, and you could see he's such a freak.
He's insane.
His ability to break down players and talk about how looking at Adams and how the guys come across and how they set it up for the play and what he's reading as the guys come in. But to remember that a couple of days after and then also recall plays from say week 6 when they played the Buccaneers and you can see why he's with the MVP, the best quarterback this year.
Highly intelligent, footballing brain. 48-7, as we mentioned on the regular season, touchdowns and picks. I can't recreate this on Madden. I keep dragging all the sliders down, playing with the pack, and the computer's still picking me off. So the fact that I can't rig a computer game to play better than the season that he's had speaks
I'm going to say
volumes about him.
I'm going to say that's user error, but anyway.
You can't...
Putting down the gauntlet.
You can't throw it deep on Madden on professional or high. It's really hard. Tyreek Hill gets away. Tyreek gets away. You got to just work the short ball.
Everyone else is blanket covered, yeah. So...
Lamar's a cheat code of Madden.
True. Some other stats, the Packers had 188 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns. One of the stories that Roger's talking about this was the fumble, so AJ Dillon fumble, that he picked it up, and when he picked it up, he had one look up and he thought, I'm going 60 yards here.
Oh, really? There was about 6 defenders in front of him.
But they're a bit over here. He's just I can see Green past you. He's that closed quickly.
I think he maybe made 2 yards off that. A very fortunate fumble, actually. It sort of just squirted out of AJ's hands and straight back into
it took a nice little bounce for him.
Yeah.
He thought maybe he'd have to dive on it, but it bounced up, and he was for a minute there, he thought, maybe this is the play. Considering he'd already run in the touchdown beforehand. So
if Sam Darnold can run at 75 yards for the touchdown, I'm sure Rodgers could have done that.
He's been seeing Daniel Jones doing it as well. It's maybe I've still got some movement in the little legs.
Just won't fall over like Danny Dobbs getting sniped.
The Rams, offensive-wise, probably Goff didn't have a great game. There's also some chat that him and McVay are not on the same page.
I didn't think he was bad. He was 21 of 27.
It's 174 is not great.
No.
There's the talk of the bit of marriage counselling, I think is the headline between him and McVay, because I think McVay's saying that, hey, Goff's ceilings, I'm all right at the moment, Goff's ceilings, mediocre to above average. But then his bad play is real bad play. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with Goff and the Rams. I think they'll probably keep him, and
I think so.
But
they spent a number
one. The coach is not happy. Let's put it that way.
Number 1 draft pick on him. To be honest, I don't think it was his play as much as
Yeah, well, Cooper Kupp was injured, didn't play.
Cup was out. The defense couldn't stop Green Bay.
Yeah, Aaron Donald, of course, hurt, didn't play. Well, he played.
He played.
Tried to play key snaps. He didn't play probably enough steps as you want from
and
Aaron
you could
Donald.
you could tell the snaps that he was out there. He wasn't his normal.
And the pack, of
destructive
course,
self.
targeted, triple team him, that kind of thing to take him out of the game anyway. Cam Akers, 18 for 90 and 1 touchdown, wasn't too bad.
Yeah, he runs the ball nicely.
But they were behind, so made it hard for them. That's a consecutive NFC championship for the pack. They were there last year, and I think it's
consecutive
sixth
game.
Yes.
NFC championship
Yes, sorry.
game. Yep, obviously they lost that to the 49ers last year.
Yeah, and I think it's the 6th one for Rodgers to go to.
Impressive.
Since I think his first one was 2010, so 6th in the last decade.
Hopefully they can get another Super Bowl.
Yeah, well,
I've only converted one of those 6 appearances into one Super Bowl.
They're a team that's performing at the right time of the year. They're built for a Super Bowl, but we'll do a preview when we get to that.
Indeed.
Then
next game?
Yes. So Buffalo, Baltimore, Josh Allen looks unreal. 23 for 37, 206, 1 touchdown, not his best stat-wise, but they
didn't turn the ball over.
No turnovers.
Managed the game. They still can't run the ball. They had like 40 rushing
Well,
yards.
they showed the key stats. I think the Ravens, they run until you force them to pass. I think of the first 20 plays, they had like 18 or 17 runs in a couple passes. And the Bills were the complete opposite. I know for a fact they were 19 and 1.
Jeez.
And I think the one was like a keeper by Allen anyway. So he pulled it down. So they definitely are built for a passing team. I know Beasley, I think, threw a donut up in this one. Didn't get any touchdowns.
Yeah, catches though.
Oh, sorry. Did he have catch? No, I didn't think he got much catches in this. I think it was all Brown and Diggs.
I'll double check that. I know Diggs had himself a game.
Diggs had over 100. Lamar, though, of course, got injured in the third quarter. Well, concussion.
Yeah.
The risk, of course, you take running the ball a bunch. But, yeah, I think Huntley comes in for him, threw the ball a bit better.
Tyler Huntley, this is undrafted free agent out of Utah. I'd never heard of him. Obviously, RG3 and Trace McSorley were both unavailable.
Yeah, I think RG3 was hurt and he's actually been cut since this game, so he's no longer with the Ravens. Tucker hits the post twice, so two different field goal attempts, both hit either post. So he went right and left, but uncharacteristic for him. It was a low-scoring game. Was cold in Buffalo. Wasn't as snowy as we thought. No. I thought it was a bit of a clear track that the Ravens could possibly do something with it, but yeah, it's those Bills though. They've built a pass and
play good defense.
Play good defense. Of course, they'll now have to go to Kansas.
But we'll get to that.
We'll get to that.
You were right. Cole Beasley donut.
Yeah, that's what I thought I heard.
0 yards.
Expect him to have a bigger game in the next one, which was probably going to be a complete shootout. Kansas City. Let's speak of Kansas City. They played Cleveland 22-17. Pat Mahomes was 21 of 30 for 255, 1 touchdown. Concussed as well. Big concussion too. Absolutely got blown up by Mac Wilson on a QB keeper.
And it didn't seem like it was anything to do with the contact with Mac. It was Mahomes' head hitting the ground. I think it was
the whole thing, like the impact on him driving him down into the ground as part, and of course the odd angle for Mahomes taking full force on his head. But he looked cooked when he stood up.
Yeah, poor fella. He was wobbling like myself after 22 schooners. He just looked dreadful. And I think once you see a guy like that, if these concussion assessments are there for a reason, you got to say you're done.
So it'll be interesting to see if he plays in this week. He had a light training session today, but of course, still in the concussion protocol. They're still working through that. I think they definitely want him to play because Henne came into this game. He
started off as an absolute villain.
Wasn't great. Threw a pretty average pick.
That pick was horrendous. There was no one near that ball. The safety, he threw it down his throat, and
it was 10 yards too deep.
And there was a point there where you thought, "Geez, this Cleveland can win this game.
Yeah.
They went out and the Chiefs defense made a massive stop.
Huge stop. Got the ball back.
Got the ball back, and Chad Henne actually goes from villain to hero. The nice, courageous scamper.
Put his head down.
On 3rd and long.
Got hammered, but got the first down.
Got him to 4th and inches, I think.
And then converted.
And
on
then Andy Reid, Big Dick Andy, calls like a little out route pass out of the gun. I'm pretty sure on 4th and inches they get that, and that's how they won the game.
Yeah, you'd think those receivers, you'd want them to win against Cleveland's corners. So
yeah,
you'd take that matchup.
But this game obviously finished a lot closer than we were expecting, and hats off to the Browns. They've had a hell of a season, and I think I've said before on the show, you've sort of been rooting for the Browns and the poor, long-suffering people of Cleveland. I don't think they've made the AFC Championship since 1990, and they lost that, and they obviously don't have a Super Bowl victory under their belt. But things are trending in the right direction.
They get OBJ back next year.
OBJ should be back from his ACL. Baker's looking okay. Their running game's really nice with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. Jarvis Landry is a freak. They've got a reasonable O-line. I think they had 2 O-linemen make Pro Bowl and a really nice defense, obviously spearheaded there by Myles Garrett.
Yeah. And they'll probably, invest in both of those and be very, very strong, hopefully, next year.
Who should they draft?
Hard to say because
secondary?
They'll pick late 20s because of that.
Might come down to who's on the board.
True. Secondary's not a bad shout, though.
Yeah.
Especially when you look at the teams they've got to play in, say, Kansas and Buffalo. Secondary is probably a good place to pick some guys up. So,
well, they're not going to play Kansas and Buffalo that much, you'd think.
No, but if you come playoffs, the AFC playoff run has been very much driven by guys that throw bombs. So
yeah. And Pittsburgh's got some really nice receivers out there. So yeah, maybe. Yes. Anyways, we're getting ahead of ourselves there.
So
shout out to the Browns on a commendable season.
So the final game was the Old Man Bowl. Tom Brady versus Drew Brees.
Yep.
Tom was 18 of 33 for 199 with 2 touchdowns, 0 intercepts. Brees, on the other hand, was 19 of 34 for 134, 1 touchdown, 3 picks.
Yeah, poo numbers there from Drew Brees.
You hate to see that.
Hate to see it in what is most likely going to be his last game.
Yeah. I think there was chat today. He said he's going to go away, evaluate the year overall like he did last year, then make a decision on it. The kind of scenes after the game where he had his whole family out there, Tom came across and they played catch with the kids.
He was fighting back tears.
Yeah.
He was, did like a sort of send-off for the few fans that were allowed in the Mercedes-Benz Super Bowl there. Superdome, I should say. Blowing kisses and clapping and whatnot.
We'll get to the salary cap because it definitely affects them more for if he wants to come back for a year. But, it's probably all looking like he's not coming back.
Hasn't made any statement just yet.
Yeah.
But if that's the last game that we saw Drew Brees play, congrats on a hell of a career. Between him and his opponent Brady in this game, they pretty much have all the records in the NFL when it comes to passing yards, touchdowns, completions.
He'll go down as a Hall of Famer,
first ballot Hall of Famer.
Definitely.
Incredible career and probably deserved more than the one Super Bowl win that he had. But at least he did have that one.
Yeah, considering, getting left traded from Chargers, having, I think, back injuries, and they're thinking you might not ever play again kind of thing.
Yeah.
To come back to Saints, the whole Hurricane Katrina, rebuilding, taking that city from where it was and kind of giving them hope, winning the Super Bowl, that whole movement.
Undersized,
exactly.
You're too short, you don't have the arm strength to be an elite quarterback. Awesome story.
Yeah.
Drew Brees.
Proved a lot of doubters wrong. Yeah. Broke most of Peyton's records and taken the lead in a lot of the categories.
Yeah, so I think he leads in passing yards. I think in completions. There's a heap that he leads in.
He might be close on touchdowns as well.
It's Brady. I think Brady's got a fairly good lead there for touchdowns, but Brees is definitely second. I remember seeing something between these two guys, and it was like passing yards, touchdowns, completions, passer ratings, number of seasons with X amount of yards, and it was like Brady or Breeze was first or second in every single one of those categories. So yeah, a legend of the game, and if that is it for him, we'll miss him, and hopefully New Orleans finds a suitable replacement.
Yeah, and when Winston's probably not going to be there, we'll talk about Tyson Hill. We'll probably leave that discussion for quarterbacks future, because there's a lot of discussion to talk about quarterbacks, and especially in the off season. But for this game, Devin White had a great game. Forced a fumble on Jared Cook.
Yep.
We covered that. Picked off a Breeze as well. The Saints did lead this game 2013. Did lead for most, I think, for the first half.
The whole first half, and I think about halfway through that third quarter, they were up 20-13.
Yeah, and then the turnovers didn't help. It brought the Bucs back into the game. They then managed, of course, to turn that into points. Held the Saints scoreless in the second half, or in at least that
in the last quarter.
At least the last quarter, quarter
Yep.
and a half, to then get that game and win, and to beat them. So
one nice thing from the Saints, that gadget play was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
So it was in the second quarter. They've got Breezes off the field. They got Jameis lined up on the right side, wide receiver. Kamara in the shotgun as like a wildcat. So he takes the shotgun snap. They got Emmanuel Sanders coming across, hands off to him. He pops it back to Jameis Winston, and he unlaunches a really nice pass, hits Traquan Smith in stride, and that's how they got their first touchdown. Probably the highlight of a underwhelming performance out of the Saints.
yeah,
Um,
and again, well, that's 3 NFC Championship games for them.
might be, yeah.
Well, the last 3 playoffs, they've two of them kind of leaving in circumstances where maybe the refs played too much of a part. One was the Minnesota. Actually, no, it was the last 4. They had the Minnesota Miracle that I think they had 2 from different referees.
Which was divisional. That was divisional.
Yeah, and then this one, of course, they're losing to the Bucs.
They've been a good team for a long time,
and I think unfortunately their window's probably closing, if not closed.
I disagree.
Yeah. Well, let me get to the Saints cap situation in a minute, and then you might understand.
Okay. Michael Thomas held without a catch in this, the best receiver in the NFL in 2019.
Yep.
Has had a really underwhelming season.
A lot of guys wanted the ball though, so in that team you got Gronk, AB, and Godwin as well.
Wrong team, bro.
Antonio Brown.
Michael Thomas, I said, didn't have a catch.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I thought you were talking Mike Evans. Oh my god. Yeah, whatever. Keep going. Yes.
Yeah, so
underwhelming year.
Underwhelming year.
This was his first game back though. He got brought off IR, and this is his first game he played in the playoffs. Yes, or was that the previous week?
I thought he played last week.
Maybe it was.
He hasn't done anything.
No, it's had a really.
I think he scored a touchdown the whole season. He played like 7 games.
Yeah,
but I don't think he found the end zone.
Great first round pick in fantasy, Peps.
Coming off one of the best wide receiving seasons ever. Yeah. Anyways,
so that round wraps up how the playoff to this point, the games. From the other news, quarterback in retirement, Rivers. So Philip Rivers officially retires. Number 17 finishes after 17 years. At the age of 39. Had 63,000 passing yards, 421 touchdowns.
209.
What's the second one?
Intercepts.
Okay.
Apologies.
So 2-1 kind of record doesn't
should be in the Hall of Fame, you'd think.
Yes, and one of the better quarterbacks, of course, not to win a Super Bowl.
Yep.
Yeah. Really missed out in 06 with the team that went 14-2. That was probably his really golden chance to win a Super Bowl, because that team was probably the best team of that decade. They were so good.
Yeah, LaDainian Tomlinson, Sean Merriman, Antonio Gates come to mind. Yeah,
they had Sue as well, I think. Not Sue. They had the Hawaiian linebacker, Hawaiian bloke.
Junior Seau.
Junior Seau, that's the one.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace. So they had an unreal defense, and their offense was unreal as well. But great bloke. I think he's already got a high school coaching job
Yeah.
back in Alabama lined up. So
Yeah.
he'll transfer straight back into that.
Yeah. Is
And-
half the team going to be made up of his kids?
You'd think so.
True.
Well, the first thing he should be doing when he retires is going down to the vasectomy clinic and getting that sorted out. I suppose if you got franchise quarterback money, you can pay for 11 kids.
I suppose so.
So who will replace him? That's a bit hard to say at this point. They've definitely got Jacob still there.
Jacoby Brissett.
Brissett.
Sorry, yes.
He-
Jacoby.
Do you reckon he's a franchise quarterback?
Maybe. He's been
More
good.
development?
He's been above average to. Well, actually, no. He's been good. Hasn't been elite.
Yeah.
It's a question of, do you think he could be
How many full
elite?
seasons has he started, though?
Last
That's the question.
year, I think.
Last year, yeah.
With the Luck retirement.
Exactly. He was forced into the starting with Luck retiring, and then, of course,
he was
back up this year.
and he was a backup at New England before that. I don't think he's a starting quarterback in the NFL. Short sample size, I suppose, of last year. And he wasn't that bad. He didn't turn the ball over that much, but he doesn't have that wow factor, I don't think.
Yeah.
And with the quarterbacks coming through in this draft, maybe they can pick up a guy like
There's a lot of great guys coming out every year at the moment. So,
Yeah.
yes, unfortunately for them, making the playoffs, they pick late. So they could be a move up candidate.
Well, they're like pick 21, I think, something like that.
Yes.
Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
they'll be one of those teams that might look to trade, get a franchise guy because
Or someone like maybe Mac Jones makes sense for them.
if he slips, yep. Their defense is unreal.
Yes.
I think they just need quarterback and their offensive line's really nice. Jonathan Taylor proved himself this year.
Well, actually, Antonio, what's the left tackle's name?
Anthony Costanza.
Retired.
Yep. Yeah, that is true.
So they were probably looking for a left tackle, and there was some chat that Quentin Nelson might be moved into one of the tackle spots.
Really?
You would hate to
He's only 6'2", 6'3", which is a little short for a tackle.
exactly, but he is, he's
one of the
absolute
best
elite
guards.
as guard.
Yeah.
So he
top three
could be-
guards in the NFL.
Probably going to be good as a tackle.
You'd imagine
So
so.
you say, well, we want good. Maybe we can go good across the line versus having one absolute elite guy at one position. But we'll see what happens with that.
What else is going on next year? Coaching moves?
Coaching news, a lot of coaching news. So Urban Meyer officially made the Jags coach. And I think their GM, they're going to promote within. So did I write that down? Yeah, I think it's Trent. How do you say his last name? Barkey? Down the bottom. It's the bottom one. Anyway, he's going to be he's going to be the yes man for Urban Meyer. I think Urban Meyer's probably going to very much run both the team and the front office in making picks. It'll be interesting to see what he does. It's his first NFL coaching experience, I believe, after a long time, awesome college career.
One of the best college coaches ever,
Yeah.
if not the best.
Yeah. Him and Saban.
So
That's probably it.
Yes, yeah. So
who's that bear fella? He's an old guy.
not Dick, yeah? Not Mike.
No, not Mike. No, his name was Bear something.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. I know. I think I know. who you're
It's
talking
who
about.
Meyer overtook this year to go to 7
You're not talking-
national championships.
No, that's Bum. I'm talking. I was thinking of
look
Wade Phillips' old man.
Most
which I think is
most
Bum Phillips.
NCAA college football championships. I think Meyer's got the lead now with 7, and it overtook this fella from back in the day.
Saban would be close to that.
Yeah, and then Saban. I think Saban's maybe 5 or something like that.
So okay, other one amongst
Is it
that.
going to work? Will Urban Meyer going to do obviously horrendous franchise, bringing in no NFL experience, obviously a highly decorated college career? Will it make a difference for the Jags?
Well, that's always a question when you get a college
to say?
coach move into the NFL.
Remember when they were talking so much? Oh, Chip Kelly's coming into Philadelphia.
Well,
and this and that, and
Pete Carroll's the opposite of that conversation, though.
that is true. Pete Carroll, highly decorated in college.
Yeah, won a Super Bowl. So
Who did he coach in college? I'll have a
you
look.
look that up.
I'll have a look at that, Monkey. If you wouldn't mind letting me know, this Bear guy is killing me. It's
Bear Bryant.
Bear Brian. He had 6,
Yep.
didn't he?
Yep, 6
And it's-
with Alabama.
Oh, it's Bama as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was like a long time ago.
Yep. In the 60s through to the 70s.
That's why I don't know him.
Yeah. So New York Jets finally find their head coach. excuse me, Robert, how do you say his last name? Saleh?
Saleh.
Sally.
49ers.
Like Mohamed Saleh.
Yeah. So 49ers defensive coordinator from memory. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So did probably a pretty unreal job this year.
I know that dude. He's the bald dude.
Exactly.
Tan looking fella.
Yep. And so he did an unreal year with them with the amount of injuries they had, and they still were pretty competitive on defense.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, the year previous, best defense in the league. So but the amount of talent they got there. Interesting to see what he does with the Jets, considering
they're hot garbage.
Yes, the hot garbage. Picking two, whether they stick with Donald or pick someone else, maybe like Fields. That'll be an interesting conversation. We'll have to wait and see.
Well, was Donald bad this season though? Considering what he had to work with.
So overall though, he hasn't improved.
Yeah.
And he's been, I think, the last 3 years finished 30th or around there for quarterback ratings. So he hasn't been great. But like you say, Jets haven't been great.
No.
So
Pete Carroll, if you're wondering, USC head coach from
yes, that reminds me.
2009.
He had the trip.
Reggie Bush and Matt Leinart.
I think he had the trip. The three linebackers he had, Cushing, Maluga, and Matthews all come out from him as well.
Yeah.
Man, that's a linebacker core for college.
It's crazy when you look at some of the college teams. I think that 01 Hurricanes team, Miami Hurricanes, where you had like Ray Lewis and Ned Reed on the same team. And those guys in college, whew, my goodness.
So Anthony Smith is now the head coach of the Atlanta Falcons. He was the offensive coordinator for the Tennessee Titans and done a pretty good job with them. Be interesting to see what he does with the talent over the Falcons. And again, of course, another question of quarterback. Do they stick with the old man or do they go young? Brandon.
I don't think there are problems on the offensive side of the ball in Atlanta.
Yes. Yep. So, and they went with a defensive head coach previously in Dan Quinn. So it'll be interesting to see what they do now with an offensive-minded head coach. Brandon Staley, is that how you say his last name?
Yeah, Staley. Yeah.
Goes to the Chargers. He was
I've never heard of this guy.
Rams DC. Wade Phillips was there.
African-American fella.
I think he's white. But anyway.
Ooh.
I could be
Brandon's pretty white. His name.
Wade Phillips, of course, was there for their Super Bowl run. I actually don't know where Wade is now. I think he either finished up last year or the... So this is either Stanley's first or second year.
This dude white.
Yeah.
Click on him, Lucky. Click on him. I'll tell you who this guy looks like. All right.
It's either his second or first year with the Rams as defense coordinator, but did a good job with them. Of course,
well, they've been one of the best defenses.
It helps when you got Aaron Donald
and
Ramsey on your defense, though.
Wow, this guy's white.
You got that so wrong.
I don't know what I'm thinking of. Maybe they're often. I don't know.
Yeah. So the Eagles are still looking for their head coach. Josh McDaniels as interviewing for that, and it'll be interesting to see what they're going. I think they've been interviewing one or two other candidates as well. But Eagles still looking. The Lions, though, have hired their head coach in Dan Campbell, who was with the Saints. I'm not sure what position he held with them, but he comes across them as Saints. I don't think he was either of the coordinators. I have a feeling he was either like special teams / assistant head coach thing.
Something
like that.
Bounty hunter, cash giver outer.
So some other news then. Raheem Morris, who was the interim head coach for Atlanta, is now the DC in the Rams. Ryan Nielsen becomes the assistant head coach for the Saints, who replacing Dan Campbell's assistant head coach.
Okay. Yep.
Is the way I understand that. And I think that's all the moves at the moment for coaching ranks.
That seems like a lot of off-season head coaching moves.
There is. And
that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that have been confirmed, and the Eagles still looking.
Yeah. And there's one other on that list that haven't got theirs. Houston.
Yes. Yeah. So 7 head coaching moves in one off-season. That seems like a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is a lot, and it's. I think it actually might be pretty. I think 5 coaches on is like an average. a lot of coaches, they turn over coaches a lot because it's, it's not for long league. And what have you done for us recently? If you don't win,
It's cutthroat.
It's super cutthroat.
I'm pretty sure there was a couple of seasons where Tampa Bay was rolling through coaches every other season.
Yeah.
Cleveland. Look at Cleveland head coaches.
Yeah, Cleveland was Raiders as well. So
I'll just interrupt you there, Sean. They've just got the MVP leaderboard up there for the Big Bash. Josh Phillippe way out in front on 12 points, ahead of Ben McDermott there on 8 and Alex Hale. So a lot of the batsmen getting ahead there.
And the Heat aren't winning this game.
No chance. We could keep us scoring runs. Interesting.
So back to the Houston head coaching. There was talk that there's probably going to be the least desirable head coaching position just because where their roster is.
Well, their quarterback doesn't want to play for them.
Well, the talk is now that if they move Watson, that it could be more highly desirable because the fact is they're going to get such a package back out of that they can basically rebuild the whole team. They can pick all the guys they want and build the team around their core nucleus of guys. If they're talking as much as like 6 picks, if not more, and maybe a couple of players thrown in, like you could get 9 new starters as an example, which is a huge amount to build your team around. So not even considering the fact that JJ might get traded as well, so there might be some picks there. So I guess it's depending what the coach wants to do. Do they want to come in and stick with Watson, JJ, and try to mend those bridges, or do they move them off, get a shitload of collateral in that they can then go spend like crazy and build the roster their way versus what's there?
I think the latter, surely. If you got 2 guys that really don't want to be there, I reckon you turf them.
So of course, there's been rumors about where Watson's going. I saw one today about the Jets. Like, why don't we get him to the Jets? But I think it's all the fans are like, hey, there's a top 5 quarterback out there. We don't have a top 5 quarterback. We want him. So it'd be interesting to see what happens. I think it's going to be a lot of quarterback shuffles, considering, at the start of the season we'll say, hey, a lot of the league's set at quarterback. Give it one season, everything changes.
Yeah, well, that's right. Well, we spoke about Rivers retiring.
Breeze retiring.
You'd think, not official, but you think Breeze is done.
Yeah. If Tom wins a Super Bowl.
Big Ben, does he have another season left in him? Brady's obviously contracted for next year.
Yeah. But if he wins a Super Bowl.
I think he's built different. I think he comes out again.
He's going to be 100 and still he have his A-frame out there.
Bloke looks younger than I do.
Yeah.
Like seriously, he's still that good looking.
I think that's more a problem with yourself than Tom Brady. So a little bit of draft news. So Mac Jones and Justin Fields are both declared. I think Lawrence has done the same. So a lot of the big quarterbacks from the SEC championships have said they're coming out. A lot of Alabama players have said they're coming out. So expect a lot of them to be picked in the first round. The real big story, though, is no combine this year. They still did a combine last year. Of course, it was late February, but there's not going to be one this year. It's all going to be pro days based. But interesting, the league's going to try and standardize some of the testing. So I wonder, because that's always the issue with pro days, is how do they time it? Grass, indoors, outdoors, tailwind, like how does it all kind of affect it?
So is this Corona related?
I believe so. The idea that the league doesn't want to, get all the guys coming into one spot, all the execs and stuff coming into one area. It's all going to be.
I mean, can you make the situation any worse? Probably not.
You guys see Tuscaloosa after Bama won that national championship?
True. We haven't seen any COVID stats out of that and see how Alabama's doing COVID wise.
Like I said, you can't get it any worse.
It's weird. Just in out of Alabama, a lot of brother-sister combinations have come down with COVID. It's so weird. Weird.
Oh, Peppy. It'd be interesting, of course, Biden becoming president, whether he'll put in a bunch of different restrictions, though, because I think...
Better not. Not my president.
So, kind of also the chat about then what happens with draft. The draft's in Cleveland. So they've got that. Whether that'll be... like it was this year, very Zoom related, or how they're going to do that. But again, that whole period, March with free agency as well, with a lot of the first few days aren't visits, but then you get into some of the visits, how that all's going to – the league, it's not going to be the same as it was last year, which was different. It's probably going to be different again is what they're saying.
And since there will be none
Yes.
to be made of.
Yeah.
Shout out to Joe Biden, obviously inaugurated today, the only man in America older than Tom Brady.
So let's talk a little bit of the salary cap because there's a bit of news on that coming out. Current salary cap, I think, is $198 million. There's talk that next year's one might be 175, but they're looking like maybe 180.
Yep.
So it's still about 20 mil less. The reason I kept saying let's talk about the Saints, they're currently $70 million over the cap.
Jeez.
So they're paying of that. I think they're paying
Taysom Hill $14 million.
I think they've got 11 guys on which equates to $170 million. So if your cap's 180,
Wow,
you've got to fit the rest of your team under. So
who'd be the guys? Mike Thomas, Alvin Kamara,
Lattimore,
Lattimore.
both their tackles, Breeze, of course.
Sheldon Rankins. And
If Breeze retires, they still carry a dead cap of tens of millions of dollars. I can't remember the exact number, but it's big.
Mm-hmm.
So they could be like, hey, just come back and play because we've got to pay you anyway. But if he does come back, I think there's three. The right tackle, Ryan, is it Ramirez? Ramchek? Yeah. No dead money, so you could move him. Lattimore, no dead money. And there's one other. I can't remember. I know Mike Thomas, they're thinking extension.
Based on this year.
Well, even if they want to extend it to him, there's probably no money in the cap for him unless they move some of these guys. So there's a lot of guys looking around like, hey, maybe the Saints are probably going to have to gut a lot of their top tier players, unfortunately. Or
Quan Alexander's the other one with no dead cap.
exactly, linebacker, yeah. And I think they'll definitely move him.
He's a defensive captain, isn't he?
Yeah.
He
And good talent
gets
too.
Plays calls.
Yeah, he was real good for Tampa.
But even still, if they move those three, that only saves them 30 mil. They've got to find another 40 mil from somewhere.
Set up shit creek, so.
Exactly. So if Drew even comes back, they might have to move all these guys. They might be trading like Mike Thomas just because they need the cap space. And
Packers will have him when it's been dying for a second or so.
Well, it might also force Drew into that conversation. Well, I don't really come back to this team if it's rebuilding. I'll retire. And then the Saints might go, well, we're in a complete rebuild now. Our window is officially closed. Trade some of these guys, get the picks, go younger, start again. Maybe Taysom Hill for a year as a bridge quarterback, try to find your guy next year, load up on those picks.
Do you think
Maybe.
Taysom Hill is a viable starter in the NFL?
Yes, he's a viable starter. Is he elite? No.
Okay. So
That's I think he can do some Lamar
not gonna-
things, but he's not Lamar. So
again, same sentence.
he's Tebow won games. He's definitely better talent wise, quarterback wise than Tebow was.
Lethal in the red zone.
Lethal red zone.
Yep.
That shotgun.
But what's he going to be like if they get rid of, their right tackle, Mike Thomas? Then they get rid of some of the defense, and they got chase points. Like
Doo-doo.
Then they could very much go from where they were to this year to like a 3-13 team next year.
Do you reckon?
Just based on the cap. They're by far the worst one. I think Kansas is like 30 or 40 mil over, but they can probably move some of that around. I think there's 2 or 3 others that are about 20 mil over, but they're the worst one. Everyone's right on the cap number and okay. So talk about the lower salary cap is probably going to impact the middle tier, like the middle class, where they'll just cull veterans and go young this year. Like the veterans could be on the market this year until they're thinking next year. Again, if they get crowds, if they get revenue back up, they'll probably hit that 200 mil mark again. So it's the same cap as it was this year.
Mate, the way they're going with COVID numbers, Jesus.
Yeah, it's going to be a big turnaround.
Start talking about the 2025 season.
Exactly. Football's not till September, so there's
9 months,
another
eight months.
till that starts. So hopefully it'll be better by then. But that middle class for all those veterans, I think they'll look for rookies. Undrafted guys might be getting more opportunities again because cheaper, just so they can carry them to get that that top 51 cap number down, so they're under the cap. So there could be, which is also very interesting because depending on how the teams go, it might be cheaper deals for the veterans, but you could be picking up a guy that's probably elite, just can't get a run somewhere, maybe fit in. You could retool your team very, very easily, is what they're saying, is what they're predicting. So free agency could be crazy this year, and there could be a lot of movement and could be a lot of change from this year's, say, playoff teams to next year's, just based on how everything's changed. I think on average, league turnover is like 25% of your roster. Could be more than that.
Jeez, crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
So what you're saying is put the shed on the Jacksonville Jaguars to win the Super Bowl next year.
Well, yeah, Lawrence. Well, it depends on what their cap situation is. I haven't got
So their cap space, so their active cap at the moment is 126.
Yeah,
So they're ranked number one there, are they?
They're ranked number one.
On money to spend.
Yeah.
Money to spend.
I don't
So-
think this is updated for the new cap space, but their active cap is 126 at the moment.
Well, if it's 180, say they got 50 mil cap space, they get Trevor Lawrence, go spend. You don't have to pay a quarterback because you're paying Trevor Lawrence peanuts. Get a cheap veteran, and then you could go out and then see all those veterans that can't get deals elsewhere. You could probably load up on a whole bunch of offense and defenses and make a run.
Yeah.
Like there's definitely possible if you've got the room to be able to do it. So it'd be interesting to see how many guys get cut, get moved, get traded. It could be a lot of movement. Anyway, a lot interesting. Interesting is the best way to put it.
I got you. Pineapple on the Jags next year.
Could be good money. You never know.
The Colts are second there.
Well, Rivers was tying as well, so you're not paying Rivers.
Yeah, so
you've got a young defense.
Yeah,
could, depending on what quarterbacks get cut, moved, maybe there's a premium one they can pick, or maybe they draft a young guy and again load up on offensive talent or something like that. So,
Bucs 7th. How the hell do they have money left?
So let's finish up conference games. Let's finish on a high note. So we've got
4 teams left in the NFL.
Do you want to start with the young man's game or the old man's game?
Which one's first?
Ooh,
Our
good
time.
question.
I think it's a Packers Bucs games first.
So old man game. So the NFC, the Packs versus Bucks.
Yes.
In Lambeau.
Yes.
It's
meant to be cold as
I think it's the prediction 29 degrees and snowing.
So in
29 Fahrenheit.
Fahrenheit, yes, which is
29.
Someone do quick math and convert it.
I'm confident with my quick math here.
32-0.
It's like -4.
Yeah. They're predicting snow. It's colder than it was.
No, actually, that's no good. 32 is freezing, so it's like -2. Confident.
You done fucked up.
Hey. A standard, well, give me within one standard deviation, we'll say 5 degrees either way, he gets it.
We'll give you a distinction in math.
It's meant to be cold. That's not...
You didn't get a HD, you got a distinction. It's all good.
Distinction is fucking generous there. It's meant to be cold. It's not meant to be like frigid. Like sometimes it can be real bad there, but the snow, obviously.
I think it's meant to be snowing. I'm not sure how hard it's snowing. Very different though for the Buccaneers.
But did Brady ever play in snow? Okay.
Yeah, true.
He played in snow for 20 years in playoffs. So
exactly.
I don't think it's going to affect him so much. Maybe a few of the guys. It's always a talked about thing, about going and playing in a cold weather team. Half the guys grew up in cold weather. Like
I've played all over the country.
Yeah.
So.
I think it affects the game less than you'd imagine. And
Lamar Jackson last week never played in a cold, never played in the snow.
Yeah. It didn't snow though.
It didn't
It was
snow.
clear track.
Yeah.
It was interesting that Ravens though Cleveland game, his cleats in the first half, he switched cleats because he just wasn't getting enough grip because it was a bit soddy. So
where did Lamar grow up? Because obviously went to Louisville.
We looked this up. It was Louisville and I think it was somewhere around Louisville as well.
Yeah.
It was,
Lamar Jackson there.
Yeah. But maybe equipment comes into it a little bit. There's always talk about the spikes versus Mulder studs conversation, and there's all the history of the snowball games in the past. I think Bears played Giants in a game where the Giants wore. They both started with Mulder, and the Bears switched to Spikes at halftime, and then went on to win the game, dominated them. They put it all to that kind of thing. So a little bit of that comes into it. I think the day and age of professional football and where they're at, it's probably not as huge issue. Plus, you got Rodgers there slinging the ball, and of course, Brady's played in Boston for all those years, so he knows what's up.
Lamar's from Florida.
Yep. Yeah. So overall, who are we picking? Pack Buccaneers. Wait.
I think the hat says it all.
We got one guy wearing a Packers hat, one guy wearing a Bucks hat. I'll try and be analytical.
Yeah.
The Packers, the number 1 seed in the NFC. The Buccaneers, the 5th seed. They've done well to get to where they are. The Packers have the home field advantage. They've got the cold, as we mentioned, might not be as big a factor as people say, but obviously they've been playing in it week in, week out, whereas the Bucks haven't. That is a great catch in the cricket there by our man, Michael Neser. He's been carrying the drinks for the Aussie cricket team for a while. Nice left-handed grab. I think everything here points towards the Packers. I think they are about $1.60 favourites in this game.
Yeah, I think their offense is better. I think their defense has been sneaky good all year.
Okay, I think they get carried by a really good offense. They do pressure the quarterback, Zadarius Smith, Kenny Clark, Preston Smith. They do get a bit of pressure. They're, other than Jair Alexander, not an elite secondary.
Yeah.
So that could be an issue against these really good Bucks receivers. But just given the way that the Pack have played in these cold weather games in Lambeau, because there's been a few this year where
Rams Bears been the last 2 ones.
Yeah, and the Titans in the regular season, it was an absolute tundra, and it doesn't seem to affect their offense. It's like Devontae Adams looks quicker in the snow.
Yeah, and Rodgers playing at an unreal level as well.
Yeah,
so it's
to me, obviously I'm a Packers fan, but analytically, I think the Packers should win this.
Yeah, everything favours them.
Yep.
But you're betting against Tom Brady, bro.
What about 14? This is his 14th championship game
Since 01?
Yeah, so in 20 years. So that's 70%.
Yep.
Quick maths. That's better than his completion.
Yeah.
So Tom Brady at the start of the year is more likely to make the AFC or any conference championship game than he is when he drops back to complete a pass. That's fucking crazy.
So, though of those 14, how many has he turned into Super Bowl appearances? 9?
Well, he's won 6.
He's won 6.
He lost to the Giants twice, and they lost to Philly.
Yep.
So 9.
9, yeah.
Pretty good.
Yeah. So he's got a good conversion rate of...
So he's won 9, lost 5, and when he wins those 9, he's won 6.
Mm-hmm.
And the 2 that they lost to the Giants.
Yeah, the Giants come from nowhere. Just had it over Tom. So,
Monkey, have you got a counter argument as to why the Bucs should win, other than the fact that they got Tom Brady? And
I could throw. I think you covered it.
Who won their last matchup?
that is a great point.
That was week 6.
It was week 6, and it was in Tampa.
It was in Tampa, different weather conditions, but the Packers got embarrassed that game. That was probably their worst.
You got to remember. You got to remember the chat about the Saints beat the Buccaneers 38-3 the last time they met. So I don't think it matters a whole heap.
No.
A long time ago since week 6. Yes. But interesting point.
I was quite surprised by the Bucs secondary against the Saints. Like they did well.
Yeah, they stepped up. With
Mike Thomas getting 0. Winfield Jr.'s had an unreal year.
Yeah, that Mike Edwards had a pick.
Linebackers are right.
Sean Murphy Bunting, he had a pick.
Yep. Devin White's been great.
Yeah, I think it's really just comes down to that D line to be able to stop or at least contain that run.
Everyone's forgotten about the Sue playing defensive line in that story with him and Rodgers going back and they're back and forth. So interesting to see how that goes.
Yeah.
But
you boys taking Monday off? Straight out on Tuesday?
Gotta get paid, bro.
Yeah.
Annual leave.
Already taking the Friday.
But I thought you said the first game. Oh, is it both games on?
They're both Sunday games.
It's
both Sunday, so Monday morning our time. This is coming from the bloke that doesn't have a full-time job. So. I'll be on the couch and I'll give you play-by-play analysis next week.
Yeah. So if I'm the tie break,
you're the tie break.
I'm probably leaning towards the Pack. I think
Fair.
Close.
Go.
It makes the most sense. Maybe closer than people think. I think it's going to be a shootout.
I think people think it will be close.
Yeah.
I think people are scoring the Packers as favourites, just for those points that I've mentioned. But it's Brady. It's Brady in a championship game.
Yeah. I'm going to go 33-27.
If the
Bucks overs.
Bucks win, it's going to be close. If the Bucks lose, I reckon it's going to be some kind of blowout.
Okay. All right.
It's either the Bucks are going to show up or they're not.
Yeah.
And then the other thing you got to worry about with the Packers is they've been deadly in the first half. They've run up a big lead on a lot of teams and then sort of just coasted. If they can do that and get a lead and not coast, the Bucks might be in for it. But I think it's a nice matchup. They both are. Which leads us to the other matchup.
The young man's game.
Yes. Josh Allen versus
maybe
To be confirmed.
To be confirmed. Patrick Mahomes.
God, I hope Mahomes can go as a sort of neutral interest in this game.
Yeah.
You'd want to see the two best guys going at it. How are we scoring this?
Well, I think the AFC, as we kind of mentioned earlier, it's very much a passing game. So this is going to be a shootout, was my thinking. And they're going to throw the absolute shit out of the ball.
Yeah.
Both, I think Williams actually was the leading runner for Kansas out of the middle of
Was
nowhere.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire available? Or?
I
don't think he ran.
I think he's been inactive. I think he's a bit banged up. They've got Bell, though. Bell did nothing.
Yep.
So, and they've switched over. Williams seemed to carry the ball a bit more.
Yeah.
So Williams got 13 carries, 78 yards.
Yep.
What
this
did Bell
is
get?
Darrell Williams as opposed to playoff Damian Williams, who sat out the year for COVID. A little bit confusing having two DA Williams on the team.
Yes.
Bell got 6 yards.
Yeah, did nothing.
So nothing.
Yeah.
So both not great run games, both electric passing games.
Yep.
Defense-wise,
You score that to the Bills, but the Chiefs aren't lousy.
you could also argue the other way with, they've got Jones on that side. They've got the Honey Badger.
Honey Badger
Definitely.
had 6 picks this year. He had one last week. That Daniel Sorensen is sneaky good. Safety, Frank Clark.
Yeah. I think they're really, really close teams.
Yep.
Honestly, on paper, they're very, very similar in the way they play. The difference is probably Patty Mahomes.
Definitely. And I think the offensive weapons that the Chiefs possess as well.
Yes. You probably give that to them as well, like Kelsey and the depth in their receiving core.
Yep.
But I think it's probably going to rely on Mahomes' health.
Yeah, I agree.
One,
100%.
if he plays, and two, is he gun shy?
Yeah.
I'm assuming not, but they might want to protect him.
Yep.
They're probably going to take out those QB keepers out of the playbook.
Yes.
At least for this week. Let's get to the Super Bowl
Scrunch
first.
that up like one of my tab bets and just throw that in the bin. No, you don't need to be doing that with Patty Mahomes.
No, not this week. Let's get to the Super Bowl first, and then we'll think about it, and we can rest up afterwards.
Yep.
So if he's 100% and he's good to go, I don't think he can look past the Chiefs. They are the best team in the AFC.
Yep.
It was always going to be them here, and we were waiting to see who was going to be their opponents, and give Josh Allen huge props for the year he's had and the point they get there.
Yeah.
They are very close.
Yep.
If not this year, maybe it's next.
Yep. I agree 100%. Mahomes plays, Chiefs clear favourite. Mahomes doesn't play, hard to score.
Did remind me of an interesting stat on my best mate Jim Carrey.
Jim Kelly, for those playing at home, former Buffalo star quarterback. Jim Carrey, obviously,
just
from the city of Buffalo.
Just remind me
Bruce
of
Almighty.
Great quarterbacks that never won a Super Bowl.
Jim Kelly.
He made 4 consecutive.
Oh.
Only player to ever do that. Well, that team, only team to ever do that. Like Tom Brady in all his history, never made 4 consecutive Super Bowls. Of course, lost them all 4.
Who got him? The team formerly known as the Redskins, I think, won one.
Yes.
49ers might have pipped him once or twice. The Cowboys might have got him.
I think you're right on the money with a lot of those. Yeah.
So this is late 80s, early, or maybe 90 to 93, something like that.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the comparisons with Kelly and Allen and how Allen's taken all his records. This is probably the start of the Bills' run.
Yep.
And the problem for them, they've hit Kansas City, who are in the middle of their run. maybe this is not the year. Retool a little bit next year. Get some extra guys in. Got Diggs last year. So you've moved up. What, they won the wild card, lost divisional last year.
Yep.
Gone from divisional now into conference.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the next year's, get that running game. Maybe get a veteran guy in there, or unique talent. A few extra guys in defense to compete with Kansas, and maybe next year's their Super Bowl. That's what I'm thinking. So I'm thinking
you're thinking a long way in the future here.
I'm thinking Kansas win this one. Pack Kansas Super Bowl for me.
Mm-hmm.
They're the two best teams.
Rematch of the first Super Bowl, I think, in the Super Bowl era. I think
it was Green Bay Cleveland, wasn't it?
No, I think Green Bay Kansas City with Kansas City winning.
It wasn't Namath. Was it New York?
67.
Jets were like number 3.
Joe Namath. Yeah, that might have been second or third. Yeah. I'm fairly confident it was.
I think you're right.
Kansas City, Green Bay in.
In
Super Bowl 1.
In my head, for a reason, I was thinking the Packer playing Bills as first Super Bowl.
No.
Yeah, Kansas City. Yes, that makes sense.
Yeah. I'll score this to Kansas, but if Mahomes doesn't play, geez, the Bills got all kinds of.
If Mahomes doesn't play, if he doesn't play the whole game, I think Buffalo can win this.
Yep. That first World Championship game, it was 1967, was it?
Yes.
Packers comfortably accounted for the Chiefs 35-10, and I think that's a good Super Bowl prediction for this year. I think the Packers might have moved forward as being on par with the Chiefs as favourites to win this whole thing.
Mm. Yeah. That's a conversation for next week, depending on how this week ends up.
Yes.
And I think that will wrap up on the Esky. Unless you didn't get, I didn't get a pick out of you.
Yeah.
Kansas. Gonna go the other one. Back the Bills.
Yeah, I'll go the other one.
Bills Mafia down the India.
Tampa Bay, Buffalo Bills.
Do you know I think he got all his right last week. So.
I would love to see.
I was 4-4 last week.
Yeah.
What did you say that we didn't say?
I was only one.
Bills and Bucks.
I picked Rams.
We both went Ravens.
Yes, and we both were backed up boys Ravens.
Wow.
Yeah.
There you go. That's a good spot to end.
Yeah.
Jimmy the Chinaman, maybe.
Back Jimmy the Chinaman here.
You can analyse it to death, but at the end of the day, it's any given Sunday.
It is. I reckon, Chiefs and Packers are very, very strong.
Or shout out to my mate Joe McGrath, who came up. I took a little bit of credit in our groupie for this one, but Chad Henne given Sunday. I think that's a pretty nice way to end this one. Shout out Joseph McGrath if you're still listening to this dribble after 2.5 hours.